Yep.
There's an entire season that we praise with an MVP award, which is fine. No problem with that.
Yep.
What happened to the first 3 rounds of the playoffs? It just doesn't matter. So, things that we'd like to see changed about the NBA.
Yeah, we're just going to drop 3 quick points.
Do you want to start or should
No,
I start?
you start. You
All
hit
right.
us.
So this is something I definitely would like to see changed. I'm sure this has been suggested. I don't know why. Nothing's been done about it. We should have a playoff MVP
100%.
instead of a finals MVP.
Yep.
I don't understand why we need to cut off 75% of the playoffs. Like, there's just no recognition for it.
Yep.
There's an entire season that we praise with an MVP award, which is fine. No problem with that.
Yep.
What happened to the first 3 rounds of the playoffs? It just doesn't matter. Like, we look forward to the playoffs. It's the most exciting basketball to watch, aside from March Madness, arguably.
Yep.
And there's no award for that. There's nothing. It's just, now you're in the finals. This 7 games is more important than the first 3 rounds. It makes no sense to me.
100%, man.
And there's examples in the past where, for example, 2007, I don't know if you remember, the Spurs beat the Cavaliers in the NBA Finals. It was LeBron's first appearance in the finals.
Yep.
I remember watching the finals that year, and it was exciting because LeBron was in there, had just come off an exciting series against the Pistons, and the Spurs were the Spurs. They were kind of the vaunted veteran team that was always up there or in around the finals. And so all throughout the playoffs, Tim Duncan, legendary Spur, was the best player on the team. For sure. The numbers back it up. His importance to the team, you can ask any Spurs fan. He's the greatest Spur of all time by a wide margin. Tony Parker won the finals MVP. It was a 4-game sweep of the Cavaliers. And he averaged something like 25, 26 points per game, whatever. But there was no mention of Tim Duncan at all. So because of a matchup, and the Cavs were a bad matchup for the Spurs that year, really bad. They shut down LeBron. LeBron had no help at all. Look it up. But Tony Parker went off. Fair enough. You had a great series. But how do we not reward the guy that took them there with his impeccable performance every year? Tim Duncan was the best player on the Spurs for years.
Yep.
You wouldn't have heard a peep about it. It was just the Tony Parker show. So we need a playoff MVP. Adam Silver, make it happen.
Yeah, come on, Adam.
And in fact, I'll say I can be persuaded to keep the finals MVP, but just have an additional, or have that as an additional award. The playoff MVP is where it's really at to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think the finals MVP should still stay.
It's important.
There should be a playoff MVP awarded, only because you see so many talented players get knocked out early who have done so much for their franchise to get them to that point. We saw it last year with Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray. Those two were sensational, and
absolutely
meant so much to their franchises to get them to that point.
Yeah.
And then you look at players like Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, who got no reward out of the postseason.
Yeah.
But would have been in the discussion for a Finals MVP award. Jason Tatum put up some incredible performances in the playoffs. The list goes on.
It does.
It's such an important part of the season, and we just have one award for the last 4 games, possibly 4 games, to hand someone an award and go, here, you played really well.
For a short period of time.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
If you're going to give an entire season an award, why can't you give an entire playoffs an award?
I agree, 100%.
I don't know where that started or why they limited it, but anyway. I'll give another one here. I just wish that the all-NBA teams were positionless.
Yeah.
And my argument here is that too often you see players that should be rewarded for their outstanding season, they get left off because they don't play a certain position. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
The all-NBA teams are not... It's not a list of players that are going to play against each other. In the All-Star game, I understand, you can't just have a bunch of forwards and then a bunch of guards on the other team. It doesn't make any sense. But all NBA, there's no game being made of it. It's just recognition. Why can't the 5 best players in the league be a similar position?
See, I think it should even be the All-Star game be the same way. The way that it's drafted now, so you got your 2 teams like Giannis and LeBron, they pick their teams. So you would never be left without a big man.
That's right.
Or a guard. Like, they both make it happen. And I think the way that the league runs now anyway, it's positionless. So you bring in a coach and they can run the whole team for you. It's a muck around. Like, it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think that the All-NBA team should be positionless. I think with the way that the league is now, you got Jokic who carries the ball up the floor. Does that make him a point guard?
Exactly. And he's essentially the point guard for that team because they run 4 out. He stands at the high post or the 3-point line.
Exactly.
And yet he gets pigeonholed as a center.
Yeah.
And sure, he's going to make it anyway.
Yep.
But then you have some players like Anthony Davis who, they moan about him playing center, or he moans about playing too much center or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they put him in as a forward, and then some other center has to be put in because he's a center.
Yeah.
Whereas Davis could easily just be the center and you bring in someone else. Yeah. Or just eliminate that altogether, and then you have the 5 best players.
100%.
Davis, let's say last season, Davis, probably Jokic, LeBron, Harden, Doncic. Done. Yeah. There's no worry about center. There's no worry about positions.
Yeah.
Whatever. Those are the 5 best players.
Yeah.
And that's how it looks on
I also think it should be 6.
Okay. As a 6th guy?
Yeah. I think the impact off the bench now, you can't. You need to have your best bench player in the league as part of the All-NBA first team.
That's an interesting take. I've never thought of that.
Because your team is not, 5 guys. It's 10 guys. So to say that the All-NBA first team doesn't go beyond 5 players, I just think your bench is so valuable. But yeah, it'd be tough giving a guy that award over, Damian Lillard, who is arguably one of the best scorers in the NBA. Yeah. And then to bring in a 6-man like Montrezl Harrell in the first team is pretty tough. But
that would be really tough.
I think that there's ways to do it. Bringing in the bench would be important, and it should be part of your award.
That's an interesting take for sure.
6-man.
That makes sense. I was just going to say, please, someone explain to me why we shouldn't just simply have the 15 best players rewarded. You can argue about the bench player thing, but why does it matter what position they play? The NBA is positionless anyway, essentially. Yep. Most teams are. Yep. Look at Miami. Yeah. Look at, again, like you say, Jokic. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
It's archaic.
It really doesn't. What's your last one?
Okay. So I just wish they would limit challenges to the 4th quarter. Coaching challenges.
Because I remember, too long.
Well, they take too long anyway. That's another point, actually.
Yeah.
But I remember watching, I think it was a Lakers game last season in the bubble, and Frank Vogel challenged some out-of-bounds play in the 2nd quarter. It was like a 4-point game.
Yeah, yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
But again, actually, just to play devil's advocate to myself, if the coach wants to use it, maybe we should let them use it because it's his decision, and it could bite him in the behind later on.
Yeah.
But I just don't get it. Why do we care about a challenge in the 2nd or 3rd quarter even?
I want it to speed up. It needs to be quicker.
It does take a painful amount of time.
The coach's challenge is just such a slow process. But I think it should be 1.5 for each coach.
Right.
If they can speed up the process and make one feel like 2 rather than, them taking 10 minutes to decide whether someone was fouled or not. It's just such a painful process. Miami don't even use theirs. So
Spoelstra's good for that.
Yeah, Spoelstra doesn't like it.
But when he does use it, he's generally right, which I respect.
I don't remember the last time he even used it. Whether he has used it, it might have been an assistant coach's call. So if he doesn't like it, he's come out and adamantly said that it's, if you get a bad call, it's part of the game. So it is what it is.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah,
I actually like that take from Spoelstra.
Yeah,
that's some street ball stuff.
I love Spoelstra.
Big
anyway, I agree with that. I think it should be a coach's decision, but it needs to be an improved process. Whether they make it, you get one coach's challenge in the 4th quarter and that's it, or you get one per half and then you decide when you want to use it. I think there's better ways to do it.
Fair.
My first suggestion for changing the rules is adding a 4-point line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Expand.
And expanding the floor.
Right.
So by moving the courts out, you can make...
Oh, you mean widening the court?
Yeah, widening the court. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So by widening the court, you can make the 4-point line go all the way around, rather than just having it at the top of the key, above the 3-point line currently. I think we'd really, it'd be much better for, stretching the floor, for inside-out game. All of that kind of stuff would be very different with an expanded floor. I can see the 4-point line benefiting a lot of teams and a lot of players. I've got Trae Young, Steph Curry, Duncan Robinson, Davis Bertans, and Damian Lillard, just to name a few.
Oh, man. The spacing would be pretty incredible. I mean, it's funny you bring that up because there's guys that shoot from pretty deep anyway.
Yeah. Logo
Lillard, exactly. Bertans loves to shoot from 35.
Yep.
We know Curry has a history of bombs.
Oh, absolute laser.
Like somebody, I mean, Curry is somebody that I think in his unanimous MVP season, he shot a higher percentage from 30 feet or deeper than from 30 feet to the 3-point line.
Yeah.
Like it made no sense.
I think it'll just make teams more urgent on guarding those guys full court too. It'll make for a more interesting defensive impact.
It's going to make it very difficult to defend.
A lot of full court guarding. I think that'll become more prominent. And then your defensive impact goes up then too. So you'll be looking for guys that can pick up guys full court. So Marcus Smart's bag will get bigger. But yeah, like his defensive impact's off the charts. But yeah, it's something that I think the league has to look at just to evolve the game even further, because 3-point isn't challenging when you're unguarded. So to catch a team and to go, oh, we're behind by 20 in the fourth quarter. How do we catch the team? Well, we just shoot fours. And that's what you do. It's interesting. It's something that I think there's a lot of work that needs to go into it just to make sure that it's viable.
Logistically, it's a little bit difficult to figure out.
It's tough.
It's funny though, because then, it would make 4-point games more exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, like they hit a half-court shot and it only counts for 3 points. No, make it 4.
And then does that mean if you fouled on a 4-point shot, you shoot 4 or shoot 3?
You'd shoot 4.
Yeah.
And, okay, in that point, if you're down 5 and you foul a 4-point shooter, you could tie the game.
Yeah.
So 5-point games, exciting.
And a flagrant would be 6.
It's getting ridiculous now.
Anyway.
But I agree. The 4-point line would be awesome. I also wanted to point, do you think there would be an advent of 4 and D players? Guys that only shoot 4s and play defense?
Maybe. Maybe. I think they'd still be called 3 and D, but
4 and D.
The guys that have limitless range, then their money just goes up. Like, how do you not pay guys that can shoot 4s then?
Yeah,
you go,
that's right.
Oh my God, they can literally catch a team with 2 shots when we're behind by 8.
I can see Porzingis being because he's tall and he just slings it. I can see him shooting a lot of 4s.
Bol has really good range too. We haven't seen it yet, but he
shoots like a slingshot.
Yeah. Well, that's Manute. Manute just used to.
That's right.
Shoot.
Yeah.
His elbow fold all the way back behind his bum, and he just fling it
fun to watch.
With slingshot. The next one I've got 5-game playoff series.
Okay. That's the only one. I don't want to say I want to push back because I think it's more exciting. I think I've made the point before where if you lose to a team 3 times, why do you deserve another shot?
Yeah.
In the first round, but at the same time, I think 4 games out of 7 is a pretty fair assessment as is. Although again, I'm actually kind of on the fence about this. I think it would be more exciting for the first round. These first round teams that come in and they're all exciting. Like let's say the Lakers and the Blazers last season, if it was a 5-game series, Lakers lose game 1. A little bit scarier because then you lose the second game and it's like, scarier. Now we're in for it.
I think it just makes every game matter more so than it does now, which is, it's really hard to kind of assess the impact that would have on the early games in the finals. I think we'd see a lot more higher seeds going early who aren't able to put their stuff together to beat another team. They may just fall behind 3-2, you know what I mean? And that's it. It's done. game over. So yeah, look, I think a 5-game playoff series would work for the first 2 rounds, and then I think getting into the finals, Western Eastern Conference finals, and then the finals. It looks like it would probably still stay at 7, only because you want those games to draw in money and revenue.
It's just more fun.
Yeah, and you want to watch 7 games of those 2 teams going at each other. So
Heat Lakers was a good series to have 7 games.
Yeah, I would have liked to see that go
9-game series.
So.
Oh man, yeah, I'm sure you have.
Last one I've got is a sophomore award. So
okay.
On top of the Rookie of the Year.
It's sort of like a halfway between Rookie of the Year and Most Improved Player. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
So, only because Donovan Mitchell was the undisputed Rookie of the Year.
I agree. Sorry, Ben. And I love Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I do too.
No doubt.
Ben Simmons would have been a sophomore winner. I think it's more of an award that should be given to people that have been in the league and then sat out a year, like Bol. Like Chuma Akiki. They're second-year players. They've been in the league for a year. They've been through rehab in their organizations. They've played games in their G League.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Sophomore award. Let us know what you think about that. That's a very interesting one. Josh has come out of left field with that one.
We didn't talk about that pre-show.
I've never even thought of that in my life.
Decided that I'd do that instead. Mix it up a little bit.